Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to another Mondays on Mondays. I'm the CDH Dad, and this is
the CDH Warrior.
And on Mondays, we do a stream just to discuss topics related to families that have children that have special medical needs and how to survive with that. To give you the background for those that may not have heard, we've spent almost 30 years related to children with special medical needs. The first was my son, who had CDH, congenital diaphragmatic hernia, which basically relates to a hole in his diaphragm in utero, and the organs were in his chest, and we had a lot of medical issues resulting from that. And in that case, many children do not survive. And at that time, it was a 30 to 50% chance of survival. Now the opportunities and statistics for survival are much better, about double that. But we did not suspect to have an issue with my daughter. Had no problems at birth, but at about a year and a half, she developed a condition called aplastic anemia, which required quite a bit of treatment and ultimately a stem cell bone marrow transplant for her survival. So between the two, we've spent an extensive period of time having to deal with children in the hospital, having to go back and forth dealing with the medical needs and the hospital and the doctor issues and all of those resulting problems. But then also just the regular life experiences that come from that. How do you mainstream back into a normal school environment and into the normal world with children that have special medical issues that many people don't quite understand and can't quite relate to. So that's the reason we started this, is just part of that discussion. My son is part of a nonprofit that deals with the CDH, congenital diaphragmatic hernia issues, and we follow a lot of things on various aspects of the bone marrow transplants, aplastic anemia, graft versus host disease, those type of things. The general disclaimer is that we are not medical professionals, we're not psychologists, we're not sociologists, we're not therapists, we don't have the medical backgrounds on that. What we do have is real life experiences that we want to be able to relate and discuss, and hopefully open this up as a forum so that you have the opportunity to be involved and to provide your input. And during this broadcast, you will see that we do have a email address, so you can contact us there, or you can get in contact with us through various social media outlets. So once again, welcome back, and as of this time of year, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And welcome back once again, everyone. This is Mondays on Mondays. The topic that we have this week, and as I brought up, we kind of go through what we see in social media and some of those topics, and whatever we get is feedback from viewers. But one of the things we wanted to talk about is how do you deal with the care for your child and the difficulties you may have with what's considered normal family interactions on that.
Yeah.
I know it's one that many families consider, usually you have extended family, the grandparents, the aunts and uncles, various other folks that are involved that help support when you have a child that has special issues, and really just a normal child. Mm-hmm. Who do you deal with taking care of those type of things? And one of the things that caught my attention this last week was a mom, basically the parents talking about that they have a child that is CDH, congenital diaphragmatic hernia child, And the grandparents were involved while the child was in the hospital and trying to help support with that. But there's difficulty that they don't really want to be involved now that the child is home and knowing how to deal with that.
Yeah.
And I can't necessarily provide the input on that as far as grandparents and family members ghosting to some extent a child that has special medical needs, but I can relate to not having family available.
Yeah.
Because as our kids were growing up, we did not have family readily available. Basically, the family was always 8 to 12 hours away, at least. So it wasn't that, we could say, oh, we've got an issue, we need to, can we drop, our son off or our daughter off or the kids off and have you take care of them. I can relate to the aspect that it is difficult, particularly if you have a child that has medical devices and those type things.
Trying to educate the family on what is really going on.
How to educate the family and how for them to understand how to deal with some of the equipment. In your case, I remember, it wasn't that we had someone taking care of you, but in your early months of life, we had friends. And part of what I bring up is, you've got family and that's your typical support group, but it's also when you need to look and see what friends, associates, contacts you have who can also help. And in our case, we had a couple that they did not have children. It was a young couple similar to ourselves that hadn't quite started a family yet, but they helped support us in a lot of ways. I know the wife's dad was a physician, and so she was familiar with a lot of these types of issues and situations. But they came over for dinner one night. They would bring us dinner and just have a chance for us to kind of socially interact. And we had the problem with a heart monitor that failed. The alarms went off, and just to relate the experience, I'm an engineer by training, 2 degrees. My wife had a degree in horticulture science and also had a master's and certification in teaching math and science and STEM classes. The couple that was with us, he was actually a lawyer and a local attorney. She was in education and had a master's degree and was actually a counselor for the local school. And between all of the education and all of the knowledge,
they couldn't figure out how to turn it off.
We could not figure out how to turn off the device. So we ended up actually just disconnecting the device and sticking it outside.
Word of advice don't normally do that. Generally find a way to consult a manual. But
this
was also 30 years ago.
It was, but it was also a matter of, okay, we could see you. We knew where you were. We knew you were okay. We could monitor your situation, and we just wanted to relax and have dinner. Afterwards, we went out and actually found out that it was a battery issue, and we got that,
resolved.
We got that resolved and went on. But these are the type of things that, if you have a child that has these issues, you need to consider that you have various resources you can look in and see if you can find. You may find other families that have children with similar type situations or also have health needs, and they can help provide some support. But in a lot of cases, and what we found was that the best support group was a lot of the social interactions that we had with other groups, social clubs that we were involved with in the community, who many of these were grandparent-aged people who would do what they could to help support us. And many times it's not that you can find another couple or another family to help support, but sometimes it has to be kind of spread out among, multiple friends, multiple contacts, multiple people that you know that can help.
Yeah.
I know in your case, if we needed to have a babysitter for a short period of time, there was a nurse who was assisting us with you in home health care, who had a teenage daughter, and the daughter could come help take care of you for whatever we needed for a few hours so we could go out and do what we needed to do. And if she had a problem, she could contact her mother. So there was an available technical contact that she had, a medical contact that she could ask if there were issues that came about that. So I can understand that in some cases with family, they're scared. And it's not necessarily that they don't want to be involved with the child.
They just don't know what to do.
It's an unknown situation. They don't know what to do. And it doesn't come in the parent and grandparent manual of, oh, this is what you need to do when you've got a child that's on oxygen and heart monitors and has a feeding pump and has a central line and a lot of these things that come into play. So I don't think it's a matter of sometimes that the family doesn't want to be involved. It's just a fact of they're scared. So it may be a factor that you have the child that has the special needs and those special issues. You need to be able to have a discussion with them about what's needed, what is important, what is, peripheral in terms of what's necessary to support the child. And then utilize whatever resources are available. In our time, it was before you had the internet and a lot of the capabilities to look things up and find things, and you could find videos on things. But you just try and find whatever technical information and resources are available to help you with these things, and utilize those to help inform and train people in what needs to be done. The other is, you need to consider when you're out in public that you may have people that don't necessarily understand exactly how to deal with the situations that you've got, and you may have to inform them of, okay, yes, I'm going to need to do this with my child. It is a medical issue. I need to find a quiet space to be able to do this. So discuss how those things are done. Anyway, do you have any other topics on this? I know this is a short topic, but it was just something that we needed to bring out that, you've got to sometimes start looking outside what you consider the normal resources you have available and see who may be able to help you. And sometimes it's not the people you would expect. In some of the cases, as I said, were the friends that I talked about with the monitor were people that we were not necessarily that close to, but we became very close to during this situation because they wanted to help. They were interested in trying to support us, and we appreciated that.
And so, in some cases, that's all you really need is the willingness to be able to help. A lot of people literally don't help because they're scared that they will mess something up.
Right. And I remember your doctor, Dr. K's comment. He said, babies are basically designed that, if God's design is if you drop them, they usually don't break if it's less than 8 to 10 feet. So generally, if you're holding a child and drop them, they're probably not going to break. You're not going to do serious damage. So you need to, be okay with that and realize that you're not necessarily going to kill a child because of these things.
Yeah.
And sometimes you may do something wrong, and that's a learning experience, and you work from that.
Yeah.
But that's a factor with any child, whether it's a special needs or not, that, every child is different. every child has unique situations, and you have to figure out what you do with that.
Yeah.
So thank you once again for joining us on Mondays on Mondays. Have a happy and healthy new year, and we will see you again in a week.
Have a great day.